Hi, FTD, From the Deep, a game where you supposedly build, command, and destroy, when in reality you build, get disappointed, quit, and then repeat the next month. But this won't be the case for me, as I'll be conquering the land campaign, where instead of it being an ocean, it's land. I hope you understand. And with that, the designs change from, well, ships to ground vehicles. And that's about it. I'm just gonna go with a casual, very hard. Welcome to our new base. We've got 2 turrets, a garage, a resource miner, our HQ, and a half truck, I guess. Oh, and we have 2 more resource zones, but we're gonna need a lot more than that. Wait, what am I building? Oh, right. Though first let's check our resources. Oh, right, we live in a junkyard. Great. Well, the first step in design are requirements. And first we have to know who we're going to be fighting against. In FTD there are 6 factions, but our most probable threat are these dustbin gangs. And they have designs of questionable quality, often using relatively weak autocannons, slow but powerful artillery, or swarms of weak missiles. They usually have small and fast craft, with wood as their main protection. Larger craft using metal. So, in summary, we are low in resources, face an enemy with weak weapons and somewhat weak armor, which means we don't need heavy armor, making mobility not be an issue, and we won't need any expensive weapons either. Okay, next, there are 2 ways of going forward. The first is designing our vehicle to go broadside with the enemy and circle around them. The second is for the vehicle to keep a set distance to the enemy and just fire away. Both have their advantages. The first being that we can potentially fire at weaker areas of the enemy and just be a harder target to hit. The second makes it so we can focus the armor to the front and just be a lot tougher to knock out from the front. So to decide which method to use, I'll just make both and see which is better. This is a ginormous 172mm cannon. Well, not really. And next is to decide what it will shoot. Since FTD has a broad, component-based shell designer, I narrowed it down to 6 shell types. High explosive, armor piercing high explosive, fragmentation, high explosive anti-tank, and high explosive squash head. High explosive shell. It's a basic shell which explodes. It will always do damage, but there are more efficient ways of doing so. Armor piercing. It does what the name says, which is pierce armor. As much as it can, that is. Armor piercing high explosive. It does what armor piercing does, but after going through armor, it explodes. Fragmentation. It kind of works like high explosive, except you can change the angle of deployment on them. However, the lower the angle, the less damage the fragments will do. High explosive anti-tank. It turns the explosive behind it into a theoretical piercing jet, which goes through very thick pieces of armor, but it gets stopped by the slightest gap in the armor, rubber or glass. But lastly, squash shell. As the name implies, it squashes against the target and then explodes, sending a shockwave through the armor, which then spalls pieces of metal behind it. It has the same issue heat has, though this time it's reasonable. After some testing, I chose a variation of squash and heat, since the gun is too weak for kinetic rounds. Then I made an ugly mock-up of the vehicle, polished it up, and now, to put things into scale, here's my vehicle, and here's the largest World War II tank ever built. Next, I made the second turret, which has larger 3-meter autoloaders for an even larger 280mm cannon. I decided to give it some spicy armor-piercing high-explosive and tracer shells, which have a weak-shaped charge in it, making it quite dangerous. I built the second vehicle, then polished it up. So, you might have noticed the insane scale of things, and that is because one block is 1 meter, meaning it's basically Minecraft. Now it's time to see which one is better. Both vehicles will be put against the Copperhead, Sidewinder, and Scrapworks. Whichever vehicle deals with them the fastest will be chosen. So, begin, I guess. Well, that was quite dramatic, but the second design, or V2, simply dealt out more damage than the V1, which means that the V1 gets support duty. I started by scrapping most of the buildings, then built some trucks and an inconspicuous weather balloon. And then went out to grab as much land as I possibly could. Oh, our time to negotiate has come. We are a bit broke, but that doesn't matter, since out of all of these great options, we can just go to war with these dustbin guys. Wait, I haven't built anything. I was right, but that wasn't a problem, as I had saved up enough resources. And soon enough, the first battle began. The first battle was a success, but it wasn't over yet. After our initial success, it was only logical to keep pushing. However, this next battle was going to be tough, and some reinforcements were just in time. Progress was steady, though sometimes interrupted. Feeling confident, I sent only one unit to capture the other zone, which, I mean, could have ended badly. Kind of unexpected, but we shouldn't celebrate yet, since I don't think I've seen this vehicle before. Hopefully nothing we can't handle. What's in this cache? The fuck? Luckily though, the missile platform dealt with it. That was a very close call, so it was time for an upgrade. The 280 M1 stands for Modification 1. I sloped the armor and switched it to super heavy armor blocks, which should be enough. Just don't mind the front heaviness. I then humanely upgraded some of them and kept taking zones, trying to not have any battles so that I don't waste time, but that didn't really work out. Enemy after enemy, they just kept going. As I went on, I finally spotted one of their last resource zones, if I didn't keep getting interrupted. Get owned. But soon, it was time to have one of the last major battles. After this, they wouldn't have much to fight with. to add some salt to the wound, they got some backup. This won't be easy. After some cleaning up, the battle was won. All that was left was to keep going forward and finish this campaign just in time. After that battle, I felt a bit overconfident and yeah, let's not repeat that mistake. But this was it, their final resource zone. They did manage to send a small force out, but the main threat was inside of the last zone. And since our time was running out, I had to begin the battle early. With the fall of the Land Marauder, we had officially won. Our first faction was Dublin, and throughout this campaign we found crucial flaws and shortcomings, which will need to be fixed, but I already have some ideas brewing up, so I'll see you there.